Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports Show on Blog Talk Radio, Postgame, Thursday, April 16th, 2015 at 11 p.m. Eastern. Call in at 646-478-4837 or text message at 231-429-3668. Red Wings beat the Lightning 3-2 in Game 1 of the Atlantic Division semifinals, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs in Tampa Bay. Want to get everyone's thoughts on this. Call in at 646-478-4837. Text message 231-429-3668. Please include your name, city, and state, whether you're calling in or texting in.
This series, the Rangers wasted no time.
Apologize, I got distracted by the Penguins Rangers series here. Check out the scoring summary. Pavel Datsyuk tipped one in from Kyle Quincy and Darren Helm, making at 9:03 into the game. That made it 1-0 Wings. The Lightning scored a shorthanded goal from Brian Boyle unassisted at 14:31 to tie it at 1. We enter the second. Just 8 seconds in, Pavel Datsyuk strikes again on the power play. Darren Helm gets another assist, alone this time. Wings take the lead 2-1. They retake the lead 2-1, that is. It would stay that way until 5:50 in the third period when the Wings were shorthanded and Luke Glendening made a play. He blocked a shot, stole it, took it up the boards, and into the Lightning zone with 2 Tampa Bay players to beat. Just when it looked like one of the Lightning players was going to cut Glendening off, he made a nice spinorama move and shot it simultaneously on net and into the net past Ben Bishop, the goaltender, for a 3-1 lead on a shorthanded goal. That was amazing. The Lightning would get one at 8:26 from Nikita Nesterov, assisted by Ryan Callahan and Alex Killorn. The Lightning would keep hammering, but Peter Mrazek kept bailing out the defense. But the defense blocked their shots too. Blocked the Lightning shots too. That almost kind of reminded me of Game 6 of the 2008 Stanley Cup Final in Pittsburgh when the Wings had their 3-2 series lead and a 3-1 lead. They coughed up one late in the third on the power play. But they still held on. Chris Osgood and the defense kept the puck out of their net after that second Penguins goal, and they held on to win the Stanley Cup by winning the game 3-2. to win the Stanley Cup final 4-2 in 2008. That was such a great year for the Wings. All that, a reminder that all that was ruined the next year when they lost the cup to the Penguins in 2009 in Game 7 at home. Both of those years, Marian Hossa came close to winning his first ever Stanley Cup. First year Hossa with the Penguins, second year Hossa with the Wings. This also reminded me of last year when the Wings beat the Bruins in Game 1 of the first round in Boston, 1-0 on a Pavel Datsyuk goal, and Jimmy Howard pitching a shutout. The next the question would be, could this be an omen? Because last year Jimmy Howard made a bad turnover in Game 2, allowing the first goal to be scored by the Bruins, and the Bruins would win 4-1, and they would go on to win the series in 5 games. But Peter Mrazek is not Jimmy Howard. This is where I say no to that question. Peter Mrazek is a goaltender that does not turn the puck over like Jimmy Howard used to. He's also a goaltender that does not give up soft goals like Jimmy Howard did all season. And he's a goaltender who doesn't stand like a statue like Jimmy Howard did when fast shots go by. Mrazek can really flash the glove and make faster and more dazzling saves than Jimmy Howard can. That's why the Wings have a better shot at winning Game 2 and going up 2-0 in the series than last year. Peter Mrazek. He's the number one guy for Red Wings fans everywhere to count on. Game two of the Atlantic Division semifinals begins Saturday at 3 on NBC and CBC on your local NBC television affiliate. For example, TV 7 and 4, WPBN and WTOM TV in Traverse City and Petoskey and Sheboygan. Up here in this area. And in the Detroit area and in Detroit on WDIV TV Channel 4. And all other NBC television affiliates around the state of Michigan. Let's go to NHL.com. Peter Mrazek made 44 saves tonight. Ben Bishop made only 11. The Lightning outshot the Red Wings 46-14. Wowzers! That is a unanimous margin of shots on goal. Imagine a top dog team outshooting an underdog team by that many shots and losing in regulation. It's just weird. In this case, the Wings will take it, especially because they have Peter Mrazek in goal. Datsuk is one of the best, if not the best, in the NHL. The national media especially does praise him. The play-by-play announcer on CBC mentioned Datsuk's magic when he scored that power play goal to make it 2-1 just 8 seconds into the second period on the power play. The first goal, Datsuk taken in off a shot from Kyle Quincy from the point, from the middle of the ice. Quincy got the feed from Darren Helm. There, Brian Boyle got his shorthanded goal, forcing a turnover. By Marek Zhidlitsky. And just took Mrazek coast to coast. Took it coast to coast to beat Mrazek. Drew Miller had a breakaway, but he didn't give it on Ben Bishop, but he didn't give much effort. He just shot it right to Bishop. Like he didn't mean anything. And people were like, "Are you kidding me? Come on, that was an easy save." But Luke Glendenning's shorthanded goal, a spinorama goal, past a defenseman, between two defensemen in the slot. I just saw as a highlight on NHLnetwork.com. Also, one last con I'd like to point out: the Nesterov goal that made it 3-2. Alexei Marchenko was standing somewhere in front of the net in the slot, in front of Mrazek, and the Nesterov shot Marchenko could have easily blocked. He could have taken one for the team. Otherwise, as for real, Mrazek had no chance to stop that shot. And with 12.8 seconds left to go, Darren Helm had to take a good penalty after the puck was bouncing up from way up airborne when the Lightning made an on-man rush. Helm had to hook that one Lightning player from scoring the tying goal. That was a really good penalty for Darren Helm to take. It saved a game-tying goal. And the Red Wings penalty killing unit did their job. They made the Lightning power play go 0 for 7. Doesn't matter what the fans think of the referees. Just so you know. Yeah, I'm touching on everything in this game. On this game. It's part of my non-paid self job as a host on this podcast. Luke Glendening forced the issue in the final seconds, cleared it out of the zone, and the Red Wings held on after one last little rush that came too late as the horn sounded. The Red Wings won 3-2 over the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 1 of the Atlantic Division semifinals. Let's go to the next topic. The Tigers return home for 3 afternoon games against the Chicago White Sox starting tomorrow at 1:08 at Comerica Park. David Price will take on what's his first name? Jeff Samardzija. Samardzija's over 1 with a 6.23 ERA, 13 innings flat, only 7 strikeouts. In two games played, 2 starts. And so, according to the stats, David Price's ERA is still all flat zeros. His ERA, his record is 1-0. So, according to the stats are telling me that tomorrow afternoon, David Price will outpitch Samardzija, and the Tigers' offense is going to outmatch the White Sox pitching and offense. Tigers are 8-1. The White Sox are 3-5. Chicago still has not improved, even with their new and improved roster. This game is televised on Fox Sports Detroit. So is tomorrow's game, because the Red Wings and Lightning are on NBC for Game 2. David Price has thrown 14 1/3 innings without allowing an earned run to begin the season. Price's streak is the longest run of innings without allowing an earned run to start a year in his career. In each of Price's previous 7 seasons, he allowed at least 1 earned run in his first start of the season. So Marge's season hasn't started quite as hot. He had a tough White Sox debut, allowing 5 earned runs in 6 innings with 3 walks and a strikeout against Kansas City as the Royals swept the White Sox in KC at Kauffman Stadium. He made some improvements in his next start against Minnesota, striking out 6 without a walk, but still allowed 4 earned runs in 7 innings. The Tigers have stolen 13 bases, the highest total in the American League. The White Sox, meanwhile, have had trouble stopping runners from stealing, throwing out just one of 11 runners on steal attempts. Controlling the running game could be the key to the series for Chicago. This preview article from August Fagerstrom, an associate reporter for MLB.com. So again, I predict the Tigers to win this series. Maybe take 2 out of 3, if not sweep them. The Tigers do have a shot at sweeping them, but I still doubt it'll happen. I still think the Tigers will take 2 out of 3. You can't go 161 and up, 161 and 1 either. But looking at the standings, the Tigers have regained first place. The Royals are now 7-2, losing 2 straight in Minnesota. The Twins are trying to get out of last place, winning 2 straight against the Royals, now 3-6. Just a half game behind the White Sox and Indians. The Indians are 3-5 as well. Other NHL scores: the Rangers beat the Penguins 2-1 in Game 1 of the Metropolitan Division semifinals.
That's what happens, I mean, the right decisions are made on the ice. Obviously, I don't want to be out for 5 minutes. I don't want to be out of the game. But when a player is hurt like that on the ice, that's what happens. Just point of view, and from our point of view, is that there was a threat made before by Subban to Stone. There were 2 attempts on face-offs to slash, one connected, and then he 2-handed him across the wrist in front of the net. And
I'm listening to this. Brian Murray, the general manager of the Ottawa Senators.
He's been one of our, if not the best player,
about the PK Subban slash.
Players in the league in the last 2 months of the year. It's a huge loss.
I'll get to the Pistons post-regular season press conference in just about a minute.
It's a huge loss to our hockey team.
2 very different perspectives.
Okay. Going to the PistonsMLive.com mobile app. Stan Van Gundy, Brendan Savage headlines: Stan Van Gundy disappointed in Detroit Pistons record, pleased with how they bounced back after a poor start because of Josh Smith. There is a video posted there. So I'll just tweet it out right now. Despite 50 losses, Stan Van Gundy likes how the Pistons are positioned moving forward. There we go. There's a written article by Brendan Savage there. The Pistons' final record wasn't much of an improvement over the past 5 seasons, but Stan Van Gundy saw some things that have him optimistic moving forward. Although the Pistons had at least 50 losses for the 5th straight time during a full season, Van Gundy likes the way his team played after starting the season with 23 losses in the first 28 games, with Josh Smith on the roster before they waived him. The Pistons went 27-27 after that horrible start, missing the playoffs for the 6th straight season with a 32-50 record. That's one of the reasons he feels good heading into the second offseason with the club. Van Gundy said, quote, Van Gundy said Thursday during a news conference at the Palace earlier today, quote, clearly we're disappointed to be sitting here today and not getting ready to play in the playoffs, but with that said, I think a number of good things happened this year, unquote. And then, quote, again, our team had several chances to sort of let the season go, both after the 5-23 start when we rebounded and played so well, and then when we made a trade at the trade deadline, that sort of disrupted us for a while, and then we lose 10 in a row and could have let it go right then. Instead, we come back and win 7 out of 11 there. Also, the Brandon Jennings injury, the ruptured Achilles tendon that put Brandon Jennings out for the rest of the season. We made some progress, not enough, but some progress at both ends of the floor. Going forward, we feel like we've established a base of good young players. Over the last 2/3 of the year, which is not a small sample size, we played .500 basketball, which would have put us in the top 5 in the East over that time period. So we think things are looking up going forward, unquote. Perhaps the thing Van Gundy feels best about was beefing up the front office heading into the offseason. After being hired as team president and head coach last May, he haven't much time to hire a staff and be well prepared for trying to revamp the roster through the draft, free agency, and trades. But with general manager Jeff Bauer working behind the scenes for the entire season and the scouting staff expanded, Van Gundy likes where the Pistons are as they try and add to what they think is a solid core of young players. They also gave themselves some financial flexibility by releasing Josh Smith, their highest paid player at $13.5 million per year, and making some moves at the trading deadline. Jeff Bauer, the GM, said, quote, Van Gundy said, from a franchise's perspective, the thing that's given me the most comfort is under Jeff's direction and our assistant GMs. I think we are far better positioned to make decisions this summer than we were a summer ago when we were scrambling. Now we've got people and systems in place, processes in place. We'll be better suited to make better decisions, unquote. Bauer said one of the things that made it difficult for Van Gundy during his first season on the Pistons bench was the turnover on the club's roster, starting with Smith's release. Brandon Jennings was playing the best basketball of his career when he tore his Achilles tendon in January. Bauer said, quote, of the 15 players that finished the season on our active roster, only 7 of them were with us at the start of the year, so half the team was brought in to learn and function on the run and never had the training and development and the growth that you normally have with the team. One of the most important things going into the past summer, this first season, was to make changes with the roster and to make significant changes. One of the accomplishments this year, we've been able to change the roster and give ourselves flexibility to move forward this summer with salary space and draft picks, as well as the ability to add roster spots, unquote. Talk to you tomorrow at 11. TTFN, ta-ta for now.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.